Alright, so we're talking the One Punch Man Season 2 dub in this one. It actually premiered this month on Adult Swim's Toonami block, and I just watched the first 2 episodes. Let me also put it out there that I'm not like an elitist or a purist or whatever who only watches the sub and like puts down others who don't. I really enjoy dubs, and I respect the voice actors who do them. I feel like a lot of the negative connotation around dubs is like a trickle-down stance that stems from like the late 90s, early aughts of battle anime dub. Yes, there was a lot of awful, terrible dubs at that time, but that was a long time ago, and things have drastically changed for the better. So I have mostly positive things to say. I mean, I originally enjoyed One Punch Man Season 1's dub, and I did have a few gripes with the voices and the choices that they made and the adaptation of the dialogue and everything, but this time around I feel like they have made a lot of improvements in those areas specifically. But also, it allows me to appreciate and take a better look at these episodes that I probably didn't get to originally because, I had to read the subtitles, and I was also reviewing it for the channel, and there's a whole process that goes into that. So pretty much everyone from Season 1 is returning for their roles in Season 2, which means Saitama is voiced by Max Mittelman, who I feel does a great job capturing Saitama's voice, and I feel like it's probably difficult to accurately do this character or just pull it off in a way that's not going to turn away fans. So as he's right on that wavelength of like what a main character would typically sound like, but he needs to pull it back and have like that dullness, that listlessness, that like bored quality to his voice, but also have like a tinge of authority in there, have more so like main character voice, but like at any moment you're kind of just not taking him seriously. Like he's pretty much like simultaneously like Cape Baldy and the One Punch Man at the same time. Like there's like a quiet authority to his voice, if that kind of makes sense, but he's very goofy at the same time. But at any moment he could just flip, and then you're suddenly listening to what he says because he has that robustness and that backing to his voice, which was also just bored at the same time. It's kind of hard to describe, but I think he does it really well. And he certainly has taken his time to try to really encapsulate Saitama as a character, because it's an important role. Now, Genos. This was a pleasant surprise for me. So Zach Aguilar is coming back to reprise his role, and this was one of the voices that I didn't really like in Season 1. I feel like Genos just sounded weird, like a little too old for what Genos is, and like it just doesn't really fit what like coming over from the original Japanese voice was. Now, I'm not saying that everyone has to sound like the Japanese voices, because that's just unfair, but you need to kind of like replicate it to a degree. And I feel like Zach wasn't really doing that in Season 1, but he's improved Genos' voice for sure. I almost thought it was a different voice actor because of like the contrast between Season 1 and Season 2. He's kind of like lightened up his voice. It's not as deep as he was using it in Season 1, and it's more fitting for Genos now, and I really enjoy the changes that he's made. So here's where I'll come to like my main gripe, and that's King's voice. So he's voiced by Rich Brown, and I don't have any issues with this guy. I think he's a great voice actor. I just don't think he's the right fit for King. I think his voice is too deep for King. It's like too much of an older voice, and it's just not casual enough, if that makes sense. So of course, King does have 2 sides to him. We're seeing that for the first time in this season. So he can more or less encapsulate, the aggressive, the imposing, the authoritative stance of King that, he exudes to the public. That's fine, I suppose. Even then, I feel that it should be brought back a little. But when we go into King's casual side, his true side, I just don't think he's able to pull it off that well. I feel like a better fit for him would probably be like Chris Sabat. Like Chris Sabat's like skinny All Might voice. Like I think that would be perfect for King. It's not too imposing, but it's still deep enough, and it's still pulling back to like King's age kind of. As where I feel Rich Brown is probably more fitting for like powerful villain type characters, or just older characters that are like in a state of like authority or something like that. I just like when King is like freaking out in the bathroom after like he's kind of like exposing himself to the audience because he's afraid of G4. I just didn't think that scene worked out well with the voice that Rich was trying to give King here. Like it was just like a nullified, like a muffled version of like his like powerful deep voice, and it just wasn't working. I don't know, it kind of threw me off. Like again, I'm saying there's nothing wrong with Rich's voice or his talent or anything. I just don't think it's fitting for King. So my biggest surprise, or should I say pleasant surprise, and that's Garo's voice. Voiced by Greg Chun. Excellent job here. Like, almost perfect. Like, I was really worried about Garo's dub coming into here because, he's like my favorite character, and he really needs to be done well. It's very important that they portray his attitude and his cadence well because, like, he's an important character. And his performance needs to come across convincingly in order to get across, how intense this guy is and, like, how cool he is at the same time, his anti-villain, anti-hero qualities. And Greg Chun just does it perfectly. Like, I was so pleasantly surprised by this. Like, he has, like, that slight rasp to his voice. He can go casual one instance and then pull it back into, like, that evil, slight tone that he has. Like, during the underground meeting, like, when he's talking to everybody, and then he goes into, like, the serious mode, and he's like, we're gonna have a slaughter party. It is just great. I can't wait to see what he does with Garo for the rest of this season. I'm really looking forward to, like, episodes 11 and 12, because, that's when he really gets to shine. But, yeah, great job by Greg Chun. And then Fubuki, Laura Post, reprising from Season 1. She does a great Fubuki. I think she's just really, really well done. Like, that's just the perfect balance right there. Really encapsulating her age, but also giving her, like, that self-imposed elegance that she has, where she's, like, above everyone because it's, like, showing her insecurity. She's, like, wears it on her sleeve, but you only really know that if you see the inner mind of Fubuki, and I think she does that well. But aside from the individual performances, I really just enjoyed the adaptation of the dialogue here, and they did a good job with this in Season 1 too, but I feel like they made it more domesticated this time around, like making it more applicable to us Westerners, rather than just, like, the culture and the sensibility of, like, the original Japanese dub. Like, just for example, when Saitama's facing off against Sonic, and he's like, alright, come at me, bro. That's just an awesome little touch like that just makes it all the much more better, at least for me. But I just enjoyed it overall, and I feel that you should give it a chance if you haven't yet. I think it comes on Saturday nights on Toonami, maybe like around 12 a.m., something like that. I'm looking forward to the rest of this season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the rest of the characters, like Goketsu, Suiryu, the monsters, all of the Monster Association guys. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. If you liked it, please give it a like and let me know what you thought about the dub. I'm sure a lot of you guys hate on it, but that's fine. But I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.